They call this jungle the Maw, a living gateway to hell that devours anyone foolish enough to cross its border. The moment we stepped inside, the sun vanished and a terrifying cold crawled deep into our bones. The trees here aren't made of wood, they bleed a thick, dark red fluid, as if the forest itself is alive. The electronics died first. The radio didn't emit static, it sounded like a human voice screaming underwater. We found a ritual in the clearing. Feathers arranged in perfect spirals around mutated animal skulls. The roots began to speak, whispering in the flat, mechanical voices of our dead loved ones. Then the rain began to fall upward. Gravity twisted, and the rising water burned our skin like acid. Every tree had eyes. Not knots in the wood, but real, blinking eyes tracking our movements with hunger. Marcus panicked and ran, but the trees shifted like walls, swallowing him whole in a matter of seconds. When we screamed for help, our own voices came back to us as a chorus of mocking laughter from the dark. A beautiful, glowing purple dust filled the air, smelling of honey and putting our minds to sleep. We found Marcus standing in the dark, but when he turned around, his face was completely blank. Thorny vines came alive like snakes, dragging Elena into the dark. When I cut them, they bled like flesh. A thick red fog rolled in, and through the crimson mist, we saw giants walking on spindly spider legs. We reached an ancient temple of bone beneath a weeping eye. Elena was changing, and I was completely alone. I began to climb the steps of bone alone, holding the smoking spark of my last magnesium flare. The temple possessed a heartbeat. Beneath the cold stone, massive dark veins pulsed heavily with fluid. Elena stood before me, but she was unrecognizable. Glowing blue mushrooms were erupting from her pale skin. The earth split open into a bottomless chasm, revealing thousands of pale human arms reaching upward. I fled into the hollow root tunnels beneath the temple, chased by the wet, clicking sounds of her limbs. The cavern was filled with thousands of glowing cocoons, holding people alive while digesting them over centuries. Inside one pod was the explorer lost 30 years ago. His blind eyes opened, speaking directly into my mind. Suddenly, the mud turned into quicksand, liquefying and pulling me down into the digestive tract of the forest. I fell through into a vast, freezing underground sea beneath a ceiling of dripping, glowing blue roots. A nightmare stood on the island, half spider, half rotted tree, with a head made of multiple human skulls. It pinned me with a strand of its web. Instantly, 10,000 memories of dying screams flooded my brain. Using my last ounce of strength, I fired a flare into its face, turning the monster into a burning inferno. The cavern began to collapse as the fire ignited trapped gases, sending burning roots crashing into the boiling sea. A violent underwater torrent sucked me in, blasting me upward through a dark tunnel at terrifying speed. I woke up on a surface of gray ash. The jungle was gone, but blue veins were now pulsing under my skin. The voices were inside my head now, ticking with every heartbeat, turning my mind into the jungle itself. I found a nursery of horrors, pods made of human skin, breeding new hybrid creatures out of the mud. A swarm of wooden wasps attacked me. Where they stung, tiny green sprouts began to grow from my flesh. In the center stood a colossal tree of rusted iron. Elena was there, physically fused into the metal trunk. She asked me to join the collective. Sharp iron roots drilled up through my boots, pinning me to the earth. I had one final choice: surrender to the nightmare, or use the jungle's own mutations to destroy its heart. I drove my mutated wooden blade deep into the iron trunk. The tree shrieked, spraying hot, yellow oil. The roots thrashed violently, crushing my bones as the entire iron infrastructure began a catastrophic system collapse. The iron dissolved, releasing Elena into my arms. The black ink left her eyes, and she was human again. A massive wall of fire erupted, consuming the entire valley. The internal voices finally stopped, replaced by perfect silence. Dawn broke over a vast desert of white ash. The jungle was completely erased from the face of the earth. But deep below the ash, a single spore survived inside a fragment of iron, its heartbeat starting over again. At the old border, the rusted iron marker's spike suddenly snapped, crushed by a metallic root creeping outward. We thought we won, but the camera screen revealed glowing blue lines already spreading beneath the city streets. There is no escape. The jungle is no longer a place, it is an inevitability, and it is hungry.